Hey guys, it's Dennis here with Revog Games, and I'm here joined by...
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa. It's been a
Yes,
while.
yeah, it's been a while. Sorry about that, guys. We're trying to do this podcast weekly, but as some of you may know, we launched our VR game, Pickup Basketball VR on Steam, early access about almost 2 weeks ago, not quite 2 weeks ago. And since then, it's been a little crazy, hectic for me. Anyone who follows me or this channel knows that we had launched Twin Peaks VR about a little over a year ago, and it was different than this. That was like a lot of work, like leading up to getting it launched, and then afterwards, because it was a single player experience for people. It was a single player puzzle thing, and there were some issues here and there, but it wasn't like a big deal. Like this thing, it's an online game, and there's like all these things that you really don't get to figure out until you actually launch it. And so there's and we got a lot of good feedback. People are loving the gameplay, but there's certain bugs and fixes that we need to get through, and that's what we've been working on. And we have a Discord. We have a separate Discord. If you are on our Discord, we do have a separate Pickup Basketball Discord that's just for that game. So take a look at that, and yeah, if you've got a chance to play the game, let me know what you think. And that's been my life for last couple of weeks. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. Just been busy with work. I do a lot of I freelance as a voice actor from home,
Mhm.
so just been doing that, and been gaming quite a lot. That's about it for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, so a lot of news. We're gonna actually cover the big news that happened, but the last couple weeks, the bigger stuff. So it may be stuff, maybe older news for you guys, but I like talking about the big stuff, especially when it comes to the business of games, or obviously the games themselves. But the newest one that just came out recently was The Last of Us developer Naughty Dog is looking for there was a job description looking for someone to hire for a multiplayer game with longevity. So people are trying to speculate whether or not this is some sort of like multiplayer add-on to The Last of Us, or are they creating a brand new game entirely with a brand new IP, etc., that is more geared towards games as a service and online multiplayer. Josh, what do you take about this news, and what are the chances of it just being a Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer online thing that they just want to put a lot of effort into, or being a brand new property that they're working on?
I think there's a higher possibility in it being a brand new IP. As much like before I go into this, I would prefer, even like not having finished The Last of Us Part 2, not really having been able to sink my teeth into it too
Mm-hmm.
much. I Going back to like the first Last of Us, I loved the multiplayer. Factions was amazing. I think I've spoken about it before in this
Mm-hmm.
podcast. I said I've really enjoyed the multiplayer before. I hope that they do focus on the multiplayer. But that being said, looking at the listing, I highly doubt. Because here's the thing: if they make a multiplayer for The Last of Us Part 2, or if they make another Factions, it's like it's not gonna be it's not something that can really be done as games as a service. Or you could,
Mm-hmm.
but that would take a lot of the fun out of it. It would kill most of the game, I think. So it's if they're gonna be doing games as a service, which is what it seems like they're going for, at
Mm-hmm.
least when they're talking about longevity, and
Yeah.
they're talking about in-game economy. Like, and now when you're working on
And
an in-game
self-expression,
economy,
and when you're talking about player
yeah,
self-expression, you're talking about customization
like
of
and
character
emotes and
components.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's definitely games as a service. I don't think it's going to be anything maybe set in the Last of Us world. Actually, not even that. I don't think that. I think this would be completely. I think it's going to be something entirely on its own, entirely different. I would like to see a second factions mode, but that's something that I don't see them doing like for a long time. You know what I mean? Um, and to be honest, considering how long it's been since The Last of Us 2's release, I don't think that they would do it now. You know what I mean? Like or like if they haven't announced it or done it by now, unless it just shows up magically, it's not going to be happening anytime soon. I don't think that they'll do that. But I'm looking forward to it. This studio has done nothing but gold. I really enjoyed all the multiplayer stuff that they've done before in the past. So I have a lot of high hopes for them for this. I think it's going to be really good. The good thing is that it seems like they know what they're looking for. At least, it's usually when we see these kinds of listings for jobs, it's a lot more vague. You know what I mean? But this isn't very vague. This is like very like they know what they're looking for, which is what I like. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a standalone. It's not gonna be like Factions or a second Factions game. I don't think it'll be that. As much as I would like it for it to be that, it's probably gonna be its own thing. That being said, the real question is it gonna be first person or third person? You know?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they're known for their third person games, right? With Last of Us and Uncharted and whatnot, and they mentioned player psychology, narrative tone. One, are you not the word skeptical is not the right word because they're obviously a fantastic studio. Cautiously optimistic because you've seen other studios, venture into kind of online multiplayer stuff that maybe that wasn't their forte, or vice versa. Maybe you see people doing multiplayer stuff going into single player. So it's always like that transition is a little different, right? Or even to jump from first person to third person or whatever. If it isn't particularly in that game developer's forte, that doesn't mean they can't do it. I'm just saying, like, are you worried or concerned at all that if, let's say, this is a brand new property, that they can get the right things? Because remember, it's totally different than a single player narrative experience, right? A multiplayer online games as a service. It's almost like the opposite sides of the spectrum. I've always said, like, to me, like, something like Half-Life Alyx, like, it's like the complete opposite of like Fortnite, like it's like this singular one player narrative experience that's made for you and you alone, and you're sitting there and you there's no choice in who you are or what the story is. That's what you're doing. And Fortnite is like, okay, there's no like story, but you get to run around everywhere. You can be different characters, different looks, different, it's made for everyone and everywhere. And so it's a different psychology in terms of how you make the game. So what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is really, well, mind you, this is probably not really answering your question, but it's, so I have so many questions as to what this could be, like, or not questions, but thoughts or like ideas. And it's one of those things where, like, looking at the studio's strengths, I highly doubt they're going to do a first person shooter. It's most likely going to be third person. And then I don't think it's going to have a heavy emphasis on guns, It could, because, like, look, there's a lot of successful third-person shooters. I mean, Fortnite is a third-person shooter, and they did good with the guns in The Last of Us, but it's like in the first Last of Us,
it's not known for its guns, right? Like,
exactly, it's not known for its guns, yeah. So, like, is it going to be more involved with like bow and arrow combat? Is it going to be more stealth combat kind of stuff where it's like you're relying on a bow and arrow and a knife? If they do set it, another reason why I don't think that they would set it in the Last of Us world, or like why it won't be a spin-off or anything in that universe, is because it's like when it comes to microtransactions, and when they're talking about things like they want to create character, they want to help you be able to express your characters or yourself. So they're talking about these emotes and stuff, and like think about how like silly emotes would look in the world of the the world of Last of Us. You know what I mean?
I would agree.
Like someone flossing like in the last. No, I mean, look, they're not going to do that. But even then, like emotes, like even if it's a simple
Ellie's
waving
flossing, she kills Abby and she starts flossing. Like it totally defeats the purpose and the themes of The Last of Us.
Well, because so the fact that they're doing games as a service 100%. So moving forward, they're most likely looking at other successes of games as a service. Doesn't just have to be battle royales, but any ongoing game. The thing that seems to be the most eye-catching is having like whatever you want to call them, characters, agents, like the people, the characters that you get to play as, or your skins or whatever. There seems to be like the games that are the most successful are the ones that have the most character, or like the most original type of characters. You know what I mean? The reason League of Legends and Dota is getting spin-offs is because the characters are relatable. Even though you're playing this character from a specific point of view, the characters have so much like depth through their dialogue or through the way that their backstory that makes them interesting. So I know for a fact that whatever they are working on, we're going to end up getting something, a world that is fairly diverse, like a fairly diverse world that's very like in depth with a good backstory. Because you can't give us like something surface level and then expect people to play for like 6 or 7 years. You know what I mean? They're going to want something in depth with a bit of lore behind it. Like look at Apex Legends. Apex Legends has lore. It's the Titanfall series. You know what I mean? Like Fortnite created its own lore over the past couple of years that it's been a live service. Warzone, its lore is tied into Call of Duty. So whatever game they're going to do, if it's going to be a fresh IP, they've got to make a good lore to it. They've got to make characters that are like that are lovable, that people like, that are approachable, because that's how they're going to sell their microtransactions. You know what I mean? And it's got to be a world or a game where microtransactions make sense. You know? Like once again, The Last of Us Part 2, it wouldn't make sense to me to like pay for different skins for your bow, you know what I mean? Or like, I mean, I can see knife skins being a thing. Knife skins are huge in any game, but like besides that, I don't see how they would get like how would they do a battle pass, for instance? Because if it's a games as a service, they're definitely going to do some sort of battle pass, you know?
Got to make money somehow.
Like
Got to make money somehow.
Exactly.
So
I'm, like you said, cautiously optimistic. I think that's the best way to look at this. Is there's no reason to be like not optimistic, you know? It's not like, I mean, people are upset about them for story choices, not for game choices, you know what I mean? Like people have a love-hate relationship with Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog specifically because of character choices and story choices, not because of like
it's all love for me. It's all love for me.
But it's not because of gameplay choices, you know what I mean? Like they've never once really upset the fans by doing a bad game. You know what I mean? In actual fact, I would go so far as to say that the reason all the backlash that The Last of Us Part 2 got just proves that it's a good game. Because people were pissed off at the choices that the characters made. They were so connected to these characters that they got so pissed off, which is a win in my point of view. You know what I mean?
the character choices weren't bad. You just don't like them. That's all. To me, that's the thing.
Which is a good game.
Whether it's not natural or not, it is perfectly natural what choices were made and what transpired and whatnot. It felt like that's what would happen. You may not like it, but that's not. There isn't like sort of like
what it is. You got to accept it.
Yeah. So anyway,
moving forward, I think no one's not like expecting a bad game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like a cyberpunk situation where the next game CD Projekt Red does, everyone's going to be on their toes about. You know what I mean? On their tiptoes. It's like
Wasn't Cyberpunk 2077 your like game of the year last year?
I mean, look, I love the game. I still love the game, but for people in general, especially people who've had to play the game on PS4, I can understand them being cautious or being like, maybe not cautious, but like wary of the next release that they do in 7 years from now, you know?
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one. This one is not new news. It's just that now the Microsoft's buying Bethesda is now finalized. You know, we already knew that was going to happen at the end of last year. It's finally being finalized, but we're getting some more details in terms of, one, they had this nice 3-minute video kind of like announcing Microsoft and Bethesda and kind of just showing you a little nice highlight clip of Bethesda and how they've grown through the years and the different games and how they're committed to, you know, continuing that tradition and history. But now this $7.5 billion thing has been finalized. You know, one of the immediate things that we're getting is 20 games. Bethesda games are coming to Game Pass. They're already available. Dishonored franchise, like all 1 and 2, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom Eternal, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. No Fallout 3 on there. Interesting. Prey, Rage 2, no Rage 1. Elder Scrolls 3, 4, 5, Elder Scrolls Online, The Evil Within, Wolfenstein New Order, Wolfenstein The Old Blood, Wolfenstein Young Blood. So there are, a few things that are a little missing, but a good portion of those games are dropping on Game Pass, which is nice to have. But the big thing, is that they're having a summer event, Xbox is, and Bethesda is going to be a big part of that because obviously that's their huge acquisition. That was their, to me, that was their cheat code, right? There was like, oh no, Sony's kicking our ass in first-party games, exclusives. What do we do? Well,
buy Bethesda.
Yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't like, oh, let's develop our own. They obviously had hits with Halo and Gears, but they just didn't have enough compared to Sony. They're like, let's just buy Bethesda. Anyways, so the big thing is, and it's been going on since the announcement that they were going to be bought, is what is going to be exclusive to Xbox. And when I say Xbox, I mean the Xbox family, and I count PC as part of that family because Microsoft really is the one that's runs the OS on there.
Yeah.
In interviews they said some titles will be exclusive. Not all, but some titles. I've kind of thought about this. I'm getting more and more sure because, when we first heard about this announcement, I'm more and more sure now that Starfield is going to be an exclusive to just Xbox platforms. And I feel like Skyrim and most likely Fallout are going to be cross-platform. I think those franchises are too big. They've been on cross-platform for a while. I
feel the opposite.
Really? Why,
Only for
why do you think?
I just think that they would have, because look, like looking at the other article, it says here, obviously I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is exclusive, which is what Spencer said. They know that's not true. There's contractual obligations that they have to see through first. Now, it is highly likely that they've already signed off on all the contracts and exclusive deals for the next Elder Scrolls game, but I think that most likely the contractual obligations they have to fulfill is most probably Starfield, because Starfield is something that they've been working on way before they even started working on the Elder Scrolls 6. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think Starfield is going to be the last if you will, cross-platform game or cross-exclusive game, however you want to look at it. I feel like Starfield's going to be the last game, and then from after Starfield, everything after that's going to be Xbox exclusive / PC exclusive. You know what I mean?
Really? Yeah.
That's what I think.
I feel the opposite. I feel like because Starfield is a brand new franchise, they don't have any kind of baggage with
that would be smart. That's true. You want to get some traction, so that's a good point.
I feel like to sell the Game Pass service, here's a brand new franchise, you can only play it on Game Pass. Like everyone, because I feel like that with Fallout and the Elder Scrolls series, that it's just too much money that they're losing if they make it exclusive. Yeah. Especially because they've already put in the work, Oh, I don't know about Fallout, but for sure Elder Scrolls has definitely put in the work for the next gen consoles, including PS5. So I feel like, or maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Starfield and Elder Scrolls will be cross-platform, and Fallout will be the first Xbox exclusive because it hasn't been worked on.
I can see Fallout going exclusive right away. Like that's something that makes sense to me. Fallout, it's always kind of felt like an Xbox exclusive, even though it's never really been.
It's so big on PC. It's so big on PC.
I guess that's the reason why it's so big on PC that I just consider. It's also it has a feel of an Xbox exclusive, even though it's not. But yeah, I guess you're right, because look, the one of the number one things that they said that they said that there's communities that they don't want to upset, right? Mm-hmm. Now, out of all their IPs, the biggest community they have is the Elder Scrolls community, not just because of Skyrim, but because of the Elder Scrolls Online as well. It's an ongoing community, you know what I mean? That has been an ongoing community for 20, almost 30 years. So I think you got a good point. I think the Elder Scrolls is not going to be an exclusive, but that's because Xbox knows they can make their money they know they can make their money on the Elder Scrolls game, selling it on all the platforms. Because I mean, look at Skyrim, dude. You can probably play Skyrim on your Samsung smart fridge at this point. It's on everything. You know what I mean? And they know for a fact that that's going to happen to the next Elder Scrolls game. They're going to release the next Elder Scrolls game, and it's going to do so well that in 10 years from now we're gonna be doing remakes of the next Elder Scrolls game, or like retextures and HD updates and all these things. It's gonna get released on whatever Switch is out at the time. You know what? They know they'll make their money on that for sure. But like, I guess you got a good point with Starfield. I just think that they've already signed. I think that they already signed the exclusive deals to Starfield before they were purchased by Xbox. So I don't think. It depends. I mean, Starfield might be exclusive. I just don't think that they got in. I don't think they got there in time to be able to make it exclusive. Does that make sense?
Do you think this summer event they're going to reveal what is exclusive and what's not exclusive?
Oh, I think so for sure. Like, and they're also going to maybe they're going to talk more about their AAA super studio as well. You know?
Well, that's the thing about Xbox. I mean, PlayStation. I've mentioned before, PS5 as well, but not as bad. But Microsoft really just had, no like real exclusives, and when I mean exclusives, even just PC and whatever. So I feel like this, and Halo got delayed. I feel like this coming fall, that's Microsoft's chance to kind of almost relaunch the Xbox Series X, right? Like I said, I haven't been motivated to buy either one. I got someone, I won't say who, but like I got an offer like, oh, you want to get an Xbox Series X, like you can buy one or whatever, like, but I chose not to. You know what I mean? Like, it's not scarcity that's keeping me away from purchasing.
It's exclusives.
Yeah, I don't feel motivated to buy either one. I mean, PS5.
There's not enough on either one. Like I was thinking about it the other day as well. I was like, look, like I really want a PS5, and then I sat down. I was like, wait. Why do I want a PS5 besides the actual fact of owning it? What am I going to do? Because once I've played Miles Morales, what am I going to do? What am I going to use it for? Yeah. And I was like, shit, that's a good point. Like, there's no, like, I don't think it's worth having a next gen console, at least for like the next.
Especially if you have a decent PC like you and me do. Like, I understand your PC sucks. No point. Your PC sucks and you can't play any good games on it. Okay, then maybe you buy one of the consoles that that maybe will be cheaper than buying a brand new computer or whatnot. But if you got a decent PC, it's like, okay, well, I can just kind of wait it out and let me see what happens with what Xbox does in the fall, and then hopefully this summer event does showcase some of the Bethesda stuff that's coming down the line. Maybe even if it's not launching in the fall, because remember they also have own Outer Worlds, that new Avowed series, or is it a new series?
The Outer Worlds is getting Outer Worlds is getting an expansion soon as well, so they might be talking about that.
Yeah, but I mean, in order to sell systems, though, you got to get like Outer Worlds 2 and whatnot. So
exactly, yeah.
So I feel like this summer event is going to maybe get a little more clarity into what exclusives may be coming.
They're definitely going to have a big focus on Game Pass as well, because that is still their number one system seller.
Yeah,
is their Game Pass. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like I've only played since I got Game Pass. I've only played one game, which is Medium, which you and me both really liked, and I still feel like I got my money's worth. Like even though, like I've only had Game Pass for 3 months, and I've only played one full game, and I still feel I got my money's worth because at any time I can just start playing a bunch of other games, So.
No, I mean I use it like daily almost. I haven't used it actually. Yeah, I used it the other day, but I use it almost every single day on PC. Speaking of, I hope that they have some clarity as to what's going to be happening to the Game Pass for PC, because they added EA Play was supposed to join Game Pass for PC like a month or two ago. It was first it came to Game Pass I think last year, but it was going to come to Game Pass for Xbox for the console. Sorry, and it was going to come to Game Pass PC I think in February or something, and then I used the app one day and I saw that they had added the EA games, and then I reloaded the app and it was gone. It was like they accidentally added it or something. I looked it online. A lot of other people had the same issue where we saw all of the EA Play games and then they were gone. So
Yeah.
hopefully they're going to be adding EA Play to Game Pass for PC soon,
Hmm.
because it's a free update. It's not, you don't pay extra for it.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just going to be adding it in anyways. Um, which, while we're on the topic, it's interesting. A lot of the games that they're adding, some of it's already on Game Pass for PC. You know what I mean? Like Fallout 76, Doom
Yeah.
Eternal,
Yeah.
Dishonored 2. A couple of those are already on Game Pass for PC. And you also made a good point where this is not really worth talking about, but I wonder why they didn't add Fallout 3. Like they added New Vegas.
I don't know.
Like the two kind of go like hand in hand, even though they're two entirely different stuff. They're like the same era. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
don't know why they wouldn't have added Fallout 3, but
Yeah. Not sure either. Must be some sort of licensing issue or whatnot,
yeah.
or technical issue. So speaking of EA, let's move on to the next thing because there's three different topics on this. One, this is a little older news, but it's still worth talking about. Is Anthem is now dead. I mean, we talked about it before.
Officially dead.
You know how they were going to do that update to it, and they were trying to relaunch it in a way, and they were going to decide on it. Well, they decided they're not doing it anymore. They've shifted all the team members to focus on Dragon Age and Mass Effect, which effectively kills the franchise, which is kind of upsetting because it's like it had a lot of
Yeah.
potential, and it was more executive business decisions over creative decisions that were done that led to a lackluster game that didn't live up to the promises that they had for it. And so yeah, it's a little disappointing because it's something I would have liked to see them develop further, especially it seems like they might have had a plan to make it better, much like people know how much I crapped on Fallout 76, and it by no means is a perfect game now, but it's so much better than what it started off as. And so I was like, I was kind of looking forward to maybe they could do that, but it looks like that is not the case. And so it's more sad that not that people aren't getting like a free update to the whatever. It just means that there's no way they're bringing this franchise back,
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I'm particularly bummed out about it because I tried out EA Play. This was like sometime beginning of last year. I tried out EA Play and Anthem was on there, so I was like, let me try Anthem out, see what it's like, like a year and a half after its release.
Mm-hmm.
And I was enjoying it. It was one of those things where like they had already polished the game where it was like the gameplay mechanics were at a I wouldn't it's not that they were perfect, but they were enjoyable. They were a
Yeah,
lot better than
the
day
gameplay
one
mechanics were
release.
good.
The gameplay was good. The issue was that I was finding with the game was that it was very desolate. Like after they fixed the game, because they did take quite a while to fix the game, and some people are going to tell me that the game's still not fixed, but compared to what I experienced on day one, the game is fixed. Like the gameplay, the combat works, the gameplay mechanics work, the loot works. There's no like stupid bugs where it's like if you don't have certain things equipped, you're OP, and they fixed all the issues. Like the game works. The problem with the game is that there's not really any end story stuff. There's no end game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for games as a service, you need like end game raids and stuff. You need end game content, and there really wasn't that much end game content. People weren't happy with how the story ended, and it was just the world itself is kind of desolate. Where it's like all they had to really do, in my opinion, to make this game more fun and bring more people in was add more to the world, make the world more like livable. Because like even when the game wasn't that popular, like look, I get the game's not populated, so I'm not going to be seeing other players. Even on day one, when the game was its most populated it ever was, you wouldn't really see other players that much. There would only ever be like maybe 3 or 4 players in your lobby, and it's like it takes away the whole grand feeling of like all these people flying around, blowing shit up, and being able to like join other parties. I don't know. There was a lot of things that they could have, like, it didn't seem like it would have. It didn't seem like it would have taken a lot to make the game good. It would have taken time and money, of course, but I don't think that they would have struggled to make Anthem Next, which is what they were going to call it, Anthem Next, good. It is really sad because the game had so much potential. I feel bad for all the people who had high hopes for the game, people who worked on the game, who loved the game. The only silver lining to this is the fact that they're going to be focusing more on the Dragon Age series, which I obviously love. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can take away from it.
Yeah, this is a part of the news as well, which is Dragon Age 4 will reportedly be single player only with no multiplayer. And this kind of came along with the news of the cancellation of Anthem Next, which means, you know, I don't know if EA has learned their lesson, but at least maybe temporarily saw, okay, with Jedi Fallen Order, you can make a single player only game and be very successful and make money. You don't always have to be about multiplayer, microtransactions, games as a service, you know, stuff. Like, people spike what people think, and it's proven by Sony in the last generation and what they did, why they won the last console wars, was they had single player narrative driven exclusive games, right? That's how they won. It wasn't multiplayer online games as a service, right? So, you know, and I remember reading, I don't remember the exact stats, but like, those games are very, very popular. They're my favorite type of games. I mean, single player, either open world or just linear storyline driven stuff, or you get stuff that's kind of like in between, like God of War. I felt like it wasn't open world, but at the same time, it wasn't like totally linear. You could kind of go around and do other stuff. Anyways, so they've decided, okay, let's focus on single player. Let's not mess around with this multiplayer thing that they're gonna do as like games as a service and try and like, you know, like do the stuff that people want and what you're good at, and like stop trying to like mix and match stuff and you know, like turn things into what they're not. Like, I don't know.
I can also see that this is a financial decision. I mean, obviously it's a financial decision because they need a win. You know what I mean? They need a win. They're gonna focus all their attention on Dragon Age because I believe that is the next game from them coming out.
Yeah.
Well, there's the
remake
Mass Effect, or the remaster.
Well, that doesn't count. That's not a new game. It's the remaster. But then there's a new Mass Effect coming too, but that's going to be after Dragon Age.
That'll be after Dragon Age 4. So Dragon Age 4, they're banking on... Look, it's always been a successful series. So they know they're going to make their money on it. They're just going to want to make sure... They're going to want to make sure they really make their money on that game. Give themselves a win. And then they can focus on some other things. So it is, yeah, it's a financial decision. It is what it is. Look, I think they announced Anthem Next in 2020. They announced it like a month or two into the pandemic. So it was like these plans were essentially put in place before the pandemic. Even though they announced them during the pandemic, obviously they were thinking about it before the pandemic. 2020 happened. 2021 is just a continuation of 2020. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. You know, if it were any other year, I think Anthem Next would have still happened. Anthem Next definitely would have happened, you know? Mm-hmm. I think they still probably would have not have put as much focus on it. They would have put a lot more focus on Dragon Age anyways, regardless of the pandemic. But I think we would have definitely seen Anthem Next. So that's sad, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. And the third part to this EA talk is that people were asking about Titanfall 3. And the EA studio boss Laura Mill told IGN that the third game will be decided by Respawn. Basically, you know, Respawn, who did Titanfall 1 and 2 and also Apex Legends, and they did Fallen Order. There's, you know, kind of leaving it up to them. You know, obviously EA is the one who's going to control the funding and whatnot, but they've seen what success that Respawn has done with both Apex Legends and Jedi Fallen Order later. Now, Titanfall 2 was not a huge commercial success, but there was like other factors involved, the timing of it, the marketing of it, and whatnot. To me, you know, I one of the best deals ever. I bought Titanfall 2 for the Xbox One for, I can't remember, it was like $6 or something. It was like really cheap, right? I bought like a physical copy for like $6. One of the best first-person single-player shooters. You know, it's up there for me, like along with like Halo 3 and you know, like it's in Half-Life and all the like single-player campaign first-person shooters. It's like that. It
probably would have gotten like way more of a rep. Like, people know it is a good game, but way more people would have known about it if they just they released it at, I think, like the same week as Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 1 just took all the attention away. Which Battlefield 1 was a good game as well, but people, I don't know. It was I still remember that week where people, at least within my group of friends, everyone was deciding, do I get Battlefield 1 or do I get Titanfall 2? And everybody who played Titanfall 1 was like, well, I'm definitely going to get Titanfall 2. And everybody who didn't play Titanfall 1 said, I'm just going to get Battlefield 1. So that's just unfortunate when they released the game. I feel like the game would have been a lot more profitable if they had released it either earlier or later in the year, you know?
Well, remember,
but it's a great game.
Remember the first Titanfall was a timed exclusive for the Xbox One when it came out. Do you think, though, that it hurt Titanfall 2 that the first game was just multiplayer? There was no single player at all. And Titanfall 2, maybe a lot of people didn't know that there was an actual single-player campaign for it. I mean, that happened with not Battlefield, but Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront. Remember, the first game was multiplayer only, and the second one had a storyline. And it's funny because I never played Titanfall 1, or maybe I played it, but it wasn't like I never bought it or anything like that. I don't know if I played a demo or played someone else's place. But Titanfall 2 I bought because it had a single player campaign. Battlefront 2 I got because it had a single player campaign. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I like multiplayer, but like for me, single player is more my thing. And then so like,
and it kind of like warms you up for the multiplayer. You know what I mean? Like I always enjoyed Call of Duty. Always had these amazing campaigns, anyways. But part of the reason I enjoyed the Call of Duty campaigns is because I can play the campaign, and by the time I finish the campaign, I'm not going to be a complete noob when I go to the multiplayer. You know what I mean? Like, the campaign kind of trains you for the multiplayer, and I always find that there's a great benefit in that. You know?
Yeah. So, anyways, if I hope they do a Titanfall 3. I think Titanfall 2 was amazing. I think
that they'll do a Titanfall 3 because
they
it's
are
set
busy,
in the same
though.
world as Apex.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
It's like they're really busy, but it would be successful if they can tie in like some of the Apex Legends characters into Titanfall 3. Titanfall 3 would sell so well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, you have a good
like
point.
They just had to bring a couple of those characters over, and then it's like I think the Mexican character, I forget his name, but oh, what's his name again? Like he uses this. It's like something like Nitro. I forget his name, but he goes fast. That's his point. But he actually came from like those like gladiator battles from Titanfall. So he actually would work in Titanfall 3. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I think that would sell well. It's definitely something that they would consider. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I'd like to see it, and I hope it happens. Probably, if they do, we're probably going to see it for a while. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. I mean, look,
definitely not going to be around the corner.
They've done great. They've done good jobs, though. You know, they've done really good jobs with the past couple games.
Yeah. All right. Another thing that was kind of older news, but it was big enough that we should still talk about. So we learned for sure, it's always been rumored, but that the PSVR 2, which I don't think they're going to call it PSVR 2, but we temporarily, that's what we're going to call it, is coming to PS5. And it's not coming this year. It's probably going to be 2022. I know that they are going to increase kind of the resolution. They're going to make it at least more friendly in terms of like the tracking and input, so that like it's just one small cable instead of like the millions of cables that was sticking out of the old one. I don't believe you need a webcam for it. Like it should have like field of view. The tracking should be like from headset. So they're gonna make it kind of the equivalent of what you would be doing with like a PC VR, right? Like it's tethered, but nowadays all the tethered stuff is just like one cable. I don't know. It's interesting that still it's weird. It's a weird switch for me that Sony is so big on VR and Microsoft is not, seeing as Microsoft has such a PC focus to it. Like I don't know why they wouldn't just like make some sort of VR headset that was, you know, and have games that are ported over from, you know, Steam or PC, you know, games. I don't know. I thought it would be a natural transition, but no, Sony's doing their own thing and Microsoft is not doing any type of VR.
Yeah, which is interesting. Well, I mean, I guess Microsoft is like Yeah, they're not doing any VR, but like at the back of their mind, even though this has got nothing to do with Xbox or gaming at all, Microsoft still has their foot in the whole AR thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got the whole HoloLens, which I was able to try out the HoloLens, and I was blown away by the HoloLens. It's nothing that you'll ever really use for gaming, but still pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
I'm excited for
I
this.
haven't tried that. I tried the Magic Leap, but I was kind of disappointed by that.
Yeah.
Wonder if that
Well,
even...
like, look, the HoloLens, like, it's the quality wasn't amazing. It was just amazing. The tracking was amazing for me. You know what I mean?
Did
Like
you do the
the stuff I
HoloLens
was
1
seeing,
or 2?
it was the prototype. It
Okay, it's
was
probably the
the
one.
first the first development kit. Yeah. It cost like $3,000 or something. It was I could like it was insane. But I used it at a convention. They set it up at a convention where you could walk around with it, and you could see like it would tell you where the bathrooms are, where the food is, and they
Yeah,
had everything like floating in midair, like giant arrows telling you where to go. And I was like, that's so cool.
yeah. AR is not really meant for gaming, even though there is some gaming
Yeah,
elements you can do to it.
it's
It's
more for
really,
practicality.
yeah, yeah. It's supposed to be what Google Glasses, was trying to do.
Yeah.
Is like, okay, instead of like a map looking at your phone, it's on in your glasses, so that it's more easy to tell, things. Looking at businesses, you could probably like look up their Yelp score or something like that as you're just looking at the storefront. It's just easier access to it. But anyways, yeah, I'm very interested to see what they do. I hope there's more announcement this year. What's up?
Before we move on, if you had to ask me when the PSVR came out that year, before the Quest, that was before the Quest came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you had to ask me what my biggest problem with PSVR is, do you know what it would be?
For me, so I'll just guess the same thing, but maybe it's not for you. For me, it was the setup of it was a pain in the ass because it had like
Okay, yeah. I mean, the setup was, but at the time, comparatively, it was just as much of a pain in the ass to set up a Vive. You know what I mean? At the time,
That's true. That's true.
But my biggest problem with it was literally the controllers, because I was like, why are we using hardware from 2010? That's when they made those Move controllers, those motion sensor controllers.
They
made them in 2010.
They're very limited.
They're so limited. So the fact that they're making new controllers, I was like, thank God. That was like the one thing that was limiting them so much. Like, it worked, and it was a good way to like reuse older stuff. You know what I mean? I think that was a lot of people had Move controllers. You know what I mean? From like back in the day, from their PS3 even. So it's like, and the PS3 ones were compatible. So like, it was a good way to reuse. But thank God they're making new controllers. I always knew they were going to make a new headset. The first one worked out quite well, considering it came out and it was like the cheapest at the time. And if you had a console, it worked. Now they've got a lot more competition with the Quest and Quest 2. So hopefully, considering their competition, they come out with a really good headset. Because I still find the PSVR the most comfortable headset I've ever worn. Is it the best headset? No, it's probably one of the worst, but it's the most comfortable, you know?
Isn't it because like the actual, this part doesn't actually sit on your face, right? It's like comes up on
it's
top.
like it levitates. It's
I
like,
mean,
it's
I've
like a
used it
circlet.
before, but I haven't used it in a while.
It's like a crown. It's like you're wearing a crown, and then the screen just kind of hovers in front of your face. It's also the most accessible for glasses and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just the most comfortable. Unfortunately, the reason why other headsets aren't nearly as comfortable is because Sony patented the design for this like circlet. The reason why it's so comfortable is they patent the reason. So unless they like rent out the patent, or I don't know how the hell that kind of stuff works.
Yeah, they could license the technology.
License it out. I really wish that they would, because honestly, like like the Quest 2 would be, well, just the next Quest moving forward would be remarkable if it had the same type of support system in place. You know what I mean? It has a good counterweight system. It's just like, it's a good, like, it looks like that's what they're going to be doing with the next Valve headset. Like Valve's new next headset looks like it's got a similar setup where it's not going to be strapped to your face. It's like more like a helmet you're wearing. You know what I mean? Or so the most of the weight's on the top of your head rather than the front of your face. But that's because they're releasing the sensors, so they need to have the things all over your brain, all over your head to like read the sensors on your brain.
Well, speaking of Valve, our next topic involves them. So this is something that you had sent me a long time ago. There's kind of an update to it, which is Apple basically wanted all the Steam sales information that they could use in their legal battle with Epic Games. They asked for, sales information for 30,000 games, total yearly sales of apps, products, advertising revenues, et cetera, like all this stuff. And of course, Valve's like, no, we're not going to give you this stuff. So a judge has decided that Valve should turn over some information, but only 436 games instead of,
which is,
30,
I guess, really, it depends what games those are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if Call of Duty, like, I mean, if you just like take Call of Duty, like all the past couple Call of Duties, like that's going to be a lot of information as is already, or Rocket League. You know what I mean? Or actually Fortnite's through Epic specifically, but you know what I mean? Any games as a service thing, it's going to be good information for them. I wonder why they had to give it over.
I mean,
the
judge, I don't know, for some reason the judge said the request for information is relevant and that it isn't a burden for Valve to give this information, and it's relevant because remember Steam, the cut percentage is the 70-30. So Apple wants to show, look, they're doing it on their end, and we're doing it too. So it's not, this 30% commission is not, anything outrageous.
Yeah. Which would be a poor argument to make because then Epic would just be like, well, yeah, that's the whole reason we're not on Steam. That's the whole reason we're Epic. You know what I mean? We don't want to do the 70-30 thing. That's the whole reason we made Epic Games Launcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's definitely a much more favorable.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's beneficial towards Steam. It's just like I like how Steam has some kind of backbone where they were like initially they were like no, even though no matter how you look at it, it kind of benefits them. Like it would benefit Steam to actually give the information to Apple. Because if they can do any kind of damage to Epic, that would be a benefit for Steam. But I love how Steam's like, no, we're not going to play that game unless you force us to, which is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll keep following that story as it goes along. Next one, this one I just kind of found funny, which we talked about Google Stadia shutting down their first party studio, but along with that, one of their games. Journey to the Savage Planet, there was like a lot of issues with it and they couldn't fix it. They've since announced that fixes are coming, but I guess they were having a lot of issues with it because they had shut down the studio and fired everyone, and then because they were not there anymore, they didn't have anyone to fix it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, so how can you fix something if there's no one? If you got a leak, you call a plumber. But if the plumber doesn't exist,
yeah.
So
yeah, I just thought that was funny. They've since said they are coming with fixes, but they definitely had some big issues with trying to fix it because they had shut down the whole studio. But yeah,
there's no local files because it's all on Stadia. It's actually hilarious. Like it seems like the players want to fix the game themselves, but they can't because you're streaming the game, so they don't even have access to like the user
code.
files.
Yeah,
they can't even fix it themselves if they wanted to. That's hilarious, man. Speaking of, this game in general is a buggy game, even if you own it on PC.
Mm-hmm.
I regretted buying this game. I bought the game, I played it for a day, and it was like a buggy mess, like even on its own, like if you take Stadia out of the situation, which is unfortunate. I had high hopes for this game, but it was just a weird buggy mess, and the game itself just didn't really make sense to me, like from on a fundamental level. I was like, what the hell am I actually doing? I couldn't really answer that question. The only answer was survive, but I was like, oh, there's got to be more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's unfortunate. I love how Stadia is just like, well, it is what it is. We'll hire some people to fix it, but knowing them, they'll probably end up hiring people to fix the game that didn't work on the game, so they're not going to know what the hell they're doing, or like they're going to have to like do so much catching up just to do a patch or something,
Yeah. All right. Next thing we've got is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. Did you see the trailer for it?
What? No, I missed this.
Yeah, I think I forgot to put it on the outline. But basically, there is. Do you remember the old school arcade game? Where it was like four-player co-op?
That was the best one. I used to go down to. Did you ever go down to? I think it's called Bar 83 in downtown LA. It's like an arcade bar.
I don't think I went to that one in particular.
They got they mainly got pinball machines, but they got a lot of old arcade machines.
I've been to some barcades, in LA and in Vegas.
There's a couple nice ones in Burbank, but there's like one iconic one in downtown LA in the Arts District. And they had all the classic arcade games, and they had that one. Dude, I spent so much time with Jack just playing the old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
It's a fun game, you get 4 people playing.
It's a good game, yeah.
So basically, if you look at this, I just sent you the link to the trailer. It's it's a game in the same vein. It's called Shredder's Revenge, and if you watch the trailer, it's funny because like 75% of the trailer is literally just a recreation of the original animated show's intro with the same music, but it's like I think like different people singing it, different art style, and then they change up some things in the actual animation, but it's along those veins. Like it's like 75% of the trailer, and then like the last 25% is actual gameplay, but the gameplay is literally the exact same as what the arcade was. This is definitely a nostalgia play. That's why the whole 75% of it had nothing to do with the actual game. It was just.
I like the color palette. It's a nice color palette. It's very bright. It's a lot more like bright and vibrant compared to the original game.
Yeah, I mean, this is for people like yourself or myself who've played the game in arcades and had a lot of fun with it and want to get that feeling again.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of. Sorry about that. This reminds me of Sonic Mania, which was like a fan-made Sonic game that got somehow officially licensed through Sega. And it was the person who made this fan-made game was also the person who did the redesign for Sonic. Or he like drew up like designs for the initial design for it, or like, you know what I mean? The initial redesign of Sonic. And it reminds me of that because even for the trailer, he did the same thing where they did like an animated trailer where it was like a lot of throwbacks to the old school animations, and the game's a lot of throwbacks to the old school. It's just a very similar take where it's like, it almost looks like a very dedicated fan-made game, Even the animation looked like it was fan-made. It was made by a fan. Yeah. But yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, we had Streets of Rage 4 recently come out, so you kind of had this resurgence of this
kind of similar
the
gameplay.
The beat 'em. I mean, honestly, when I was
beat 'em up scroller.
beat 'em up scroller. When I was growing up, those used to be my favorite games. Was those like Double Dragon?
There was one that I could never remember the name of. It was my favorite to play. It was also a 4-player beat 'em up scroller game, and it involved like.
Remember they had an X-Men one.
Yeah, the X-Men one is also one of my favorites. They also have that in the downtown LA barcade that I was telling you about. But there was this like game. It was a 4-player beat 'em up scroller game, also like from the 90s, and it was like it was like set in kind of like this medieval times. Or not really. Like you had medieval weapons, and you were like you'd pick up these power-ups, and then your character would like transform, almost like this whole Saint Seiya thing. Like you would like get this epic armor. And you would, I don't know. I gotta look it up one day.
I don't know. I remember Altered Beast, but that was old school. Do you remember Altered Beast?
Yeah.
That might have been too old for you. Altered Beast was like,
I don't know,
you're a human, and then you picked up a power up, and you would transform into either a wolf, a bear, or a dragon.
That was the game. I don't know why I'm thinking armor, but yes, that was the game.
Altered Beast, and then.
Dude, yes, Altered Beast. I used to play that.
And then the more you got, you would transform more until you get to the ultimate like, golden state or whatever. Yeah, and then they made Altered Beast 2 and whatnot. But yeah, that was like, I remember it was like an arcade game, and eventually it was, on the Sega Genesis, and people were like, oh, wow. Because people don't remember back in the day within the NES and the Sega Genesis, the graphics difference was a lot, and that was one of the games that kind of showcased that.
Altered Beast was sick, man. And I think it was Rage or Primal Rage, where you would like the dinosaurs fighting each other.
Yeah, that was.
It was the thing
Rage.
that They like turned it into a movie with Dwayne the Rock Johnson. It was
No, that was different. That was not Primal Rage. It was Rampage.
a Rampage. Yeah, Rampage. Yeah.
Rampage. I also love.
from Primal Rage.
Yeah, Rampage was also a game I loved, which is like a 3-player co-op arcade game where you were basically a human that got transformed into a giant. It was basically King Kong and Godzilla, but they didn't have the King Kong Godzilla license, so the lizard was called Lizzie, and it was a female, and then turned into this lizard. And then I forgot the name of the gorilla, but anyways, it wasn't King Kong, but it was like King Kong-esque, and then one was a wolf, and then you would just smash the buildings. It was repetitive, but as a kid, it was a lot of fun.
It was fun, dude. Primal Rage was my jam, though. Like
that was the dinosaur ones, yeah.
That was like Mortal Kombat
with
dinosaurs.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that was gory. I was like, there's a lot of blood in this game. Yeah. I was like, I'm here for it.
All right. Next thing we've got up. I don't know much about this because I never played Dota, but Dota Dragon's Blood is an animated series that's coming to Netflix actually fairly soon. It's coming out on March 25th, which is only a few weeks from now. The showrunner is Ashley Miller, who I'm not friends with him, but I'm acquaintances with him, and he had written Thor, the original Thor, X-Men First Class, and he also, for me, the reason why I was a fan of his is he wrote some of the best episodes of Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles and Fringe.
Nice. Those are two excellent TV shows.
Yeah, he actually had a writing partner back then, but they since split up. I think it's amicable split up, or maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know their personal lives. But anyways, Zach Stentz is his former writing partner, and they've kind of gone different ways. And
I forgot about Fringe. Wow.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about Fringe. That's a really good TV show. For anybody listening to this or watching this who hasn't watched it, I highly recommend it.
Very underrated science fiction. Yeah. It's like X-Files meets.
Yeah.
It was J.J. Abrams had, I think, co-created that show.
Very good show.
But anyways, Dota, Dragons, but I don't play the game, so I don't know much about the actual characters and the storyline or whatever. So when I was watching the trailer, I was like, this looks interesting, but I'm not too familiar with the world, so I'm definitely going to check it out. It's just maybe going to take me a little while to get, accustomed to what's going on. Well, what do you think? Did you ever play Dota?
Yeah, loved. I used to play Dota a lot when it was still a Warcraft 3 map. Mm-hmm. Played a bit of it when it came out. I still play it every now and then. I play the arcade games on Dota, which is usually like tower defense kind of games and stuff like. Not that competitive. I'll still play Dota, but I play against bots because it's such a competitive game that like. Mm-hmm. There's not, if you're a new player, it's very unforgiving unless you have people to play with. So I play with bots a lot. I play a lot of those like practice games and then maybe I'll end up playing with real people because it can be the learning. It's not that there's an intense learning curve. It's just that like when it comes to the strategies involved, it's like it's not really forgiving to new players. But it's a great game. Love Dota. Love League of Legends. I love MOBAs in general. If you, Dennis, right now had to install Dota and play Dota, the very first thing it's going to do is it's going to make you play a tutorial. In that tutorial, you are the main character of this series, of the trailer you just saw.
Oh, interesting.
So in the tutorial, you play the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Knight's like the first character that you play as. It's like it's kind of like the easiest character to learn if you're a beginner player. But yeah, it's like the base character of the game, if that makes sense. It's the first character you actually get to play as, the first character you get to experience. So it makes sense for them to base the series on that. Other than that, like I know very little lore about Dota itself because for me there never really was lore. It was a spin-off, a lot of spin-off. It was a custom game for Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
Like there was no lore. It was just a multiplayer thing, It's like multiplayer Call of Duty. I don't care what the backstory is, just shooting people. So I have no idea what the lore is going to be. I have no idea what the backstory is. I'm excited to watch the story. Art style looks good, but it's also like maybe this is like a horrible thing to complain about, but I'm kind of getting bored of this art style. Like Castlevania did such a good job that Netflix was like, okay, everything that's going to be animated from now on that's not anime is going to be done by the people that made Castlevania, which I get. Like it's like they know that they did good. They're going to do good in the future. They're a great animation studio. They're going to continue to do good, but it's like I kind of wanted something like a slight, and when I say different art style, I mean like I just wanted something different. Like maybe I think maybe the colors are too bright for me, or like the palette's like too like saturated. I don't know. Like I was expecting like something a bit more like darker in terms of tone, but it looks like it's going to be fun. It doesn't look bad. I'm wondering if there was a rush to make this. I'm wondering if they rushed to bring this out before League of Legends brings out their series. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Maybe.
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean,
because I didn't know about this. I think I heard about it a while ago, but the fact that we're getting it so soon,
after announcing it,
before any like League of Legends series, I think they're just trying to beat League of Legends to that hype. You know what I mean? Where it's like most likely if League of Legends does a series, it'll also be on Netflix, and then it's like that it's going to have to compete on the same streaming platform, like, Yeah. I don't see League of Legends making its own series and then going to like Hulu, for instance. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, like I told people before, you just wait. Now you're gonna start seeing a lot more video game movies and television shows, and the qualities. I don't know. Like I haven't watched this, so I'm not gonna say this is of whatever quality. I mean, I'm just saying I'm interested, especially because of who's show running it and his resume and history, but the video game stuff is just going to keep getting better and better, and eventually you're going to be like, oh wow, it's just like how comic book movies and television shows, they used to suck and then they got better and better over time, and then suddenly they're the big thing, and that's what's going to happen with video games. Mark my words here, and on all the other podcasts I've been reiterating this so many times. People always go, oh, it's never going to happen. Yeah, that's what people said about comic book movies and TV shows, and now they're like the dominant thing. So, 5-10 years from now, you're gonna be like, oh, I can't wait for that next video game movie that's coming out.
Dude, I do hope that I hope that Netflix or Amazon or somebody finds a new animation studio, just because like. Here's the thing, like I said, I got nothing against them. It's the fact that it's like every single like animated series or movie that's coming out that isn't from Japan or from the East is done in the same style. Like I haven't seen the animated Witcher series or the animated Witcher movie that they're doing, but I guarantee you it's going to look the same as Castlevania and the same as this trailer we just watched. It's going to be the same art style, Yeah. Oh well, it's a stupid thing to complain about, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it on my end. Do you have any big stories?
We forgot to.
What story?
Well, we forgot to talk about
Valheim.
Valheim.
We forgot to talk about.
And then also Dragon Age 4, which I think let's talk about Dragon Age 4 real quick because this is quick. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that
I thought we did talk about Dragon Age 4.
Oh, we did, but we didn't say that they've canceled the multiplayer for Dragon Age.
No, we talked about that. We talked about that. Yeah.
Did we? I mean, I think we mentioned it, but anyways, there's no multiplayer for Dragon Age 4, which makes sense to me. Like the Dragon Age Inquisition, they added multiplayer as an expansion like much later on. I never tried it out, but the Dragon Age game was never really intended to be multiplayer, so I don't know why they put an emphasis on it in the beginning. I think it's better for them just focus on making it a single player game. If they want to make it multiplayer, do what they did with Dragon Age Inquisition. Give us a multiplayer expansion like a year later, Polish the base game first. Polish the single player experience first. But then you have Valheim. Valheim blew up. Like I've been playing a lot of it
since our last podcast till now, which was only like 2 weeks ago. It's like blown the hell up. It has surpassed 5.7 million copies, and it's still in early access.
Do you know how big the team is behind this? If you had to guess.
I heard it was like 4 or 5 people or something like that, right? Or something like that.
It's four people. They may have. I know when they hit 2 million sales, they were at 4 people. Most likely, they've added hired new people by now. Like if they've expanded, I'm gonna assume so because the thing is, the game's got constant updates. So for 4 people to be doing constant updates must be hell. So they must have hired they must have immediately gotten. The first thing I would have done is gotten a bigger office space, which I'm sure that's the first thing they do is get a bigger office space. They can afford it. And then hire an extra, keep the team small, but hire an extra 4 people and then delegate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The game blew up. It's super popular right now. People are loving it.
Now, I haven't played it, so tell me why Why?
It was one of those things where it was also like right time, right place kind of thing. So Valheim's been around for a while, actually for a couple of years. People don't. A lot of these games, when they blow up, they don't just like show up. You know, they've been in early access for years leading up to it, and then usually there's like a viral moment where like a streamer or a YouTuber plays it. But now, before Valheim blew up, one of the most for the longest time, Among Us was like the most streamed thing on Twitch last year, right? As Among Us started slowly dying out, people moved over to Rust. Rust has been a game that's been around for years, but it kind of had its like second coming at the end of last year, beginning of this year, where like Rust blew up. Like it blew up in terms of sales and downloads. It was always a big game, but now it's a huge game. But then within Rust, the communities, a lot of Rust. The thing is with Rust, if you're playing Rust on like a normal open server, you're going to deal with a lot of toxicity, and I mean like a lot of toxicity. Not just like people being racist or sexist, but people just like actually like griefing, like ruining your hours of in-game gameplay, destroying your base, that kind of stuff. So essentially, people found Valheim and they were like, "Look, it's like Rust. It's a survival game, but it's like it's set in this whole Viking era. You're a Viking, you know what I mean? It's a survival game. There's only 10 people per server, and I believe there is PvP, but for the most part, everyone plays the game PvE. So it's already a lot peaceful. And it came out at a time where like a lot of streamers were playing, a lot of people were playing it. It's fun, even if you're playing it alone. I play it single player a lot. It's really fun. It's a good survival game. There's a certain element of like whimsy and mystery to the game. Like the game itself looks like a game from like 2007. You know what I mean? Like the graphics aren't great.
Yeah, they're talking about PlayStation 1 style graphics.
Exactly. Like the world itself, the world is pretty like the world has got a higher res than the character model. The player models and the character models are like much lower poly compared to like the trees, which is interesting. You would assume that everything would have like a similar poly count, but the trees and like the surrounding has like a much higher resolution than the character model, which is a bit off-putting at first. But the game is really, really fun. The game's really cheap. Like I don't know what it is in dollars.
It's $20 on Steam.
It's even cheaper here. It's like shit. I think it's like $10 here or something. But dude, yeah, it's loads of fun. It's just a good survival game. Like I'm trying to think like what you can. The only thing you could compare it to is Rust, but take all the guns out of Rust. You know what I mean?
From what I heard, because I don't play many survival games. I think Fallout 76 had like a survival aspect to it, but from what I heard is that it takes a lot of the mundane stuff out of survival games and makes it so it's like you don't always have to go get food, and you don't always have to like it keeps the fun parts of survival games without the mundane aspects of it.
Well, what they did was, and they did something that a lot of survival games don't have, which is they added boss fights, like these like kind of like which is these so. With most like survival games, you get to a point where eventually you automate things like Minecraft or Rust or just like that in Valheim. Eventually you make your own farm, so you're not running around looking for food. You just go outside, you water your crops, your food's there. You know what I mean? The game's interesting though because now they're putting an emphasis on boat building, because a big thing for Vikings is to be in your boat with your boys and then go row your boat down the river, find a village, and then go pillage. You know what I mean? That's the Viking thing. So like going forward, it seems like they're doing a bigger emphasis on boat building. There's also like a really good base building. Like their base building mechanics aren't the best, but if you know how to use it, it's actually really good. And you can do a lot of like creative stuff with their base building. The tree physics are interesting. I have died a few times to trees. If you chop down a tree, it has physics.
Does it fall on you? You die?
If you chop down a tree, it can crush you if you're not careful. And I've literally died like 2 or 3 times just from trees falling on me and crushing me, which is interesting. It's one of those games where you can play it alone, but it's definitely meant to be played with more people, and it's a lot more fun, and you get a lot more done with more people. But then, like I said, the thing that sets it apart from other survival games is that you have boss fights. So like once you reach a certain level, you go to like this altars, you make a sacrifice, and then this boss spawns, and you're doing this boss fight with like you and anywhere between like 2 to 10 people. You know what I mean? And these boss fights get increasingly difficult. They're probably going to be. I would imagine that most of their team is probably focusing on future boss fights because that's how they're going to keep people coming and playing the game. You know, because there's no microtransactions in the game, so it's not like a games as a service kind of game. the only way that they're going to keep people coming and keep people, or the only way that they can be profitable is if they bring in new players, because they can't make money off of players that already have the game. So to get in new players, you just have to keep encouraging friendly play, because if your friend's playing Valheim and he asks you every single day to play the game, eventually you're going to buy it and play the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is how I.
And also the hype too. You hear about the hype and you're like, cool. And also $20. Obviously it's cheaper over there. It's not a $50 game, $60 game. You're not investing that much. You're like $20, fine. Let me try it out. Maybe I'll like it and I'll keep it. Right now it has overwhelmingly positive on Steam, 145,000 reviews, and it just came out on February 2nd. So it's not like it's
it's still pretty much brand new. It's a great game for that price. Try it out. I believe that they do have plans to come to console. Obviously, they'll make a lot more money once they're on console. Hopefully, that'll be soon, because it took years for Rust to get onto console from early access. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's difficult for early access games to get onto console in general, you know?
Yeah. What's interesting, or not interesting, like when I look at the graphics, it reminds me of, I never played the game, but it just had a distinct graphic style, is EverQuest. Remember EverQuest?
Yeah, it does. It does. It does have that kind of like the kind of like low poly feel to it. Yeah.
So
it looks like Runes. It looks like if RuneScape had a sequel. You know?
Yeah. All right, I think that's it on our list. Unless you have anything else. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
That's about it. Like there's a couple other small things, but they're not really worth mentioning, or they've like already happened, so it's not worth talking about. Just your usual drama in the streaming scene, you know.
What have you been playing?
So bad. I got into Final Fantasy 14, which is an MMO.
Yeah.
Like I got like really balls deep into this MMO. I played it years ago. I just recently got my subscription up because I was like, I've got some free time between voice acting. So for this past week, I probably already logged in like a good 20 hours this past week just playing Final Fantasy 14 online. That and Valorant. The new season to Valorant just started, so I've been working on my rank. There's a new character that they added to Valorant. She's like got a very interesting play style. But yeah, so no, just been playing a lot of Valorant and been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14.
Okay, cool.
And Red Dead Redemption 2, because my dad loves Western movies.
Okay, so you're just like showing him, or you just showing him the story? The story's amazing.
He's loving it. He's loving it, man. Yeah. Also, just the graphics, because my dad's he just turned 69. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. It's so stupid. Yeah, he just turned 69. So he's like a lot older. So I'm showing him like, hey, look, this is what gaming looks like nowadays, you know, on a high-end gaming PC. And he's just getting his mind blown like constantly, you know, and he's loving it. The story's amazing. It's funny. So I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 with my dad, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah. So I've been mostly just playing the pickup basketball VR game. One, because obviously I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, obviously I'm biased because I'm involved with that game. But two, also just playing with other people online and getting feedback from them. It's definitely a fun and also learning experience of like, that's why it's funny because like, you know, ours is an early access game, and you know it's a small game, small development team, and just like how much stuff you have to go through during the launch of a game, and even a small game like that, and all the things that are involved. It's like I can't even imagine like the craziness that, you know, good and bad for something like Valheim, you know, like it's
like a 4-person team. I can I guess you end up getting a lot more respect for CD Projekt Red, you know, or maybe not respect, but like you feel a lot more for them now, considering, you know, just how much trial and error there is after a launch, you know, even after a successful launch, there's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the good news is we're not a huge big seller like Valheim over there, but our game is rated positive. You know, we have 18 reviews, I think 17 positive, 1 negative. So I can live with that.
That's a win so far, man.
Yeah. So yeah, just got to keep plugging away and trying to, you know, optimize the features and fix the bugs and all that good stuff. So anyways, that's what I've been mostly playing. Haven't had a chance to really play too much else lately. I'm trying to think of what else is what's the next big game coming out?
That's actually a good question.
It's been kind of quiet, right, lately?
Hold on. Actually, that's a good question because there was something fairly big, but I forgot what it was.
Resident Evil. I think isn't Resident Evil coming out soon?
Game releases 2021. Let's see. There's a couple of remakes, but let's take a look here. We are now in March 12th. So
Outriders.
Right. Yeah.
Outriders.
Outriders, yeah, because you got the demo is out for Outriders, so Outriders is either come out already or is coming out soon.
April 1st.
Monster Hunter Rise is coming out soon, that's going to be a pretty big game, but I'm not too sure if I think it's only going to be on Switch. I could be wrong about that. I think it looks like it's probably only going to be on Switch though. Resident Evil Village. We got Resident Evil Village coming out next month.
May 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new Pokemon Snap coming out. Deathloop, May 21st.
The Mass Effect Legendary Edition on May 14th. So Far Cry 6. There's some stuff. Nothing huge until the fall.
Yeah, we got that Fallout 70. We got the Final Fantasy 7 Remake Intergrade, which is like a story expansion thing / like it's the PlayStation 5 version of Final Fantasy 7 Remake, but they've also added some extra missions, including Yuffie, playable character. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank, the next game.
I'm looking at this.
A lot of Nintendo stuff coming out this year, actually.
Yeah. I'm looking at this list on IGN, and I don't believe this to be true. It says that God of War Ragnarok is coming out in 2021.
No, that's such a lie.
We haven't seen anything other than a logo. Like that game is coming out this year. Like a game that big is just gonna drop unless they've been like, I don't know, secretly working on it, like Half-Life Alyx or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah, here we go. I've got the oh, you know what? Yeah, I've got the full list here of March specifically. Just speaking of March, a couple that's worth mentioning. Well, this already came out. Yakuza Like a Dragon, which has gotten really good reviews, by the way. Like everyone says that Yakuza Like a Dragon, which came out on March 2nd, has been doing really good. Loop Hero just came out. I actually played it recently. It's interesting. It's on PC. It's very cheap. I think it's got to be $10 or something. I know that's how much it cost here. Apex Legends is coming to Switch, or they came to Switch 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Apex Legends just came to Switch. Crash Bandicoot 4 came out today, or it's supposed to come out today. I don't know if it got. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Did it come out today? Did it get like delayed or anything?
Not sure.
I feel like how did we miss? I feel like there should be a lot more like talk about that. Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Its release date. Its original release date was supposed to be today, or later today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, I think that's it. People.
Oh, Marvel's Avengers comes to PlayStation 5 in a few days.
And I mean that's a game that just has been,
it's kind of dead.
Yeah, people, and they keep trying to revive it, but it's a lot of people are just not feeling it.
The only other thing worth bringing up, and I'm excited for it, I don't know if other people are, which is the entire Kingdom Hearts series is coming to PC in a few days.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog, and also follow us on Twitter, Revog Games. You can follow me on Twitter @ThinkHero, on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Josh, you can follow him on our Discord channel.
Yeah, you guys can just hop on our Discord. If you guys want to ask me anything, you can find me in the Discord. Also, I believe I reactivated my Twitter, even though I don't use it. So if you tag me in the Twitter videos, I'll be on. I'm gonna try to use Twitter more in the future, guys. So if you guys have any questions, you can tag me in Twitter. and I'll reach out and I'll answer your questions. If not, Discord is still the best way to get a hold of me. Join the Revog Discord, and you guys will see me under the Revog logo.
Cool.
And you guys can DM me or whatever.
Cool. All right, guys. So until next week, we'll talk to you guys later.
Later.